Hello, students. Here is a discussion post, and it is about the companies, the Dow Jones companies that we are assigned to do research. And as you all know, I put a PowerPoint here, and I said you have to download it. When you download, you see that there are outcomes for this chapter, which means I have to determine for this discussion board that what kind of sources of operating and financial leverage my assigned company was Amazon, and what kind of financial leverage and operating leverage does Amazon use, and then explain the income of Amazon with respect to leveraging. And therefore, what I did, I came and copied all of these outcomes to do my research. And I went to, ChatGPT to see what kind of information I get in terms of Amazon. And here it is. I put here, hello ChatGPT, I need information about these issues, and the company is Amazon, and I pasted those outcomes to see what kind of information ChatGPT gives me in terms of operating leverage of Amazon and financial leverage. And when it gave me, it didn't give me any numbers, and I was more interested to, I need numbers. That's what I told. That way I can see what kind of financial leverage it has. And I noticed that Amazon has operating expenses of $524 billion. That's a huge amount, half a trillion, more than half a trillion expenses it has. And of course, it has revenues also. And then it has a long-term debt of 130 billion. These are the financing leverage that it is using, and the operating leverage. Do you see? These are the two different leverages. And then there is another term I noticed, and it is called degree of operating leverage, which means 1% increase in sales would lead to 1.53% in increase in operating income, which means if it increases its sales by 1%, the result of it would have 53% more in terms of its operating income. Therefore, sometimes you like to see this operating income is getting higher and higher as you suppose for 1% of increase in sales. And then it has other numbers. I copied all of these from here to Microsoft Word to do my research and post it on the discussion board for 10 points. And I came here, and as these are what ChatGPT, gave me, and here anything I put as my own, I change it to green color. Therefore, this is something that ChatGPT gave me, and I noticed that there are two operating leverages. One is the financial, one is the operating. I want you just to highlight, I want to make sure that you have read them and go through the, information and post it on Microsoft Word. And then here, you remember in ChatGPT, I said I need some research, and it did some research. And here, Amazon, do you remember? We saw it on ChatGPT, $524 billion. And this is what I added. This green mark is my notes, that it seems Amazon operating expenses are extremely high because it has $500 billion. You know how much money that $500 billion? Why so much? As you know, Amazon is a big company. It sells a lot of, things over the internet. And for that reason, it has to have extremely high revenues. And in fact, it does. It even has $130 billion in debt. Of course, it doesn't need to pay it annually, because it might have financed it over several years. Therefore, I highlighted some of the important notes of ChatGPT in yellow, and my notes appear in green. That shows that how that show I have read them and I have analyzed them. And suppose we haven't got into one of the important concepts of weighted average cost of capital. The meaning of it was that what is weighted average? Even if you don't know about some concepts, I want you to go back again to the chat GPT and ask what is the weighted average cost of the capital. Means on average, imagine Amazon is borrowing from one bank 2%, another bank, let's say 4%. On average, it will be 3%. When we come and say if Amazon has to raise money, the average cost to Amazon is 3%. Of course, Amazon, raises money not through just debt, through equity as well, which means it will sell stocks as well. Therefore, that average, that's a part of that average. And cost to Amazon is 12.26. This is something, of course, is in here that shows that anytime Amazon wants to, raise money and, the cost to it is 12.26%. This is an important number. We will talk more about, weighted average. And again, this green is my notes. These greens, I want you to do this research and post it from Microsoft Word to the discussion board. If you do not know about how to do this, wait until other students do and also post. I want you, if possible, please include a lot of green area that is your research, because it's so easy to go to a chat GPT and put this information. I want you to make sure you read yours and you understood good part of it, and you come up with some of your own concepts in green. That way I feel that you have learned the concepts and also respond to at least one student. And here I also ask ChatGPT to compare Amazon with other competitors. As you see, the Amazon debt to equity ratio is 0.46. That means for every $1 that Amazon has, 0.46 of it is the debt, and the rest of it equity. Equity means 54. Therefore, debt to equity, the lower the number, sometimes the better the company. That means the company has less debt. Sometimes it's good for the companies to go and borrow money. If that debt is going to give them a huge amount of profit, then let's not, why not? Let the company goes and borrow. Therefore, here, cost of debt, as you see, the cost to Amazon, whenever it borrows, it costs 4.25. Do you see Walmart has a higher cost, and then Alibaba is a Chinese company, and it is 4.25%. And again, we see that the debt that Amazon has is 130 billion compared to Walmart and compared to Alibaba. Which one of them is good or bad? We cannot judge by saying these numbers, because Amazon might making a fortune out of making this weighted average cost of capital. It gives some numbers that are from different researchers. Therefore, I am going to post this one to the discussion board, and I want you to do that. If you have to go back to ChatGPT, ask more questions, feel free to do so. I want to read about your company regarding these outcomes that are related to this chapter, and I want you to post it on the discussion board. And please answer to at least one student and read about other companies, read about other students posting. These are good stuff. If you have any questions,